Can you hear us now?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sounds great. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry. So I was saying if we can hear from our workshops about summary of what they talked about, next steps they plan, and most importantly, how to get involved. So anybody who's interested in a different workshop, what they can do and to get in touch and be involved. So if we can get started with
if it's the early diagnosis or
yes, I was going to say early diagnosis, understanding how 3D printed eyes can help.
Can I ask to wait for Joshua to come in because he has a summary of that, or if I can ask Serge because he's been there for both days to say his perspective of this.
So, just a summary of what we discussed, I suppose.
Yesterday.
And so in the early diagnosis, we're looking at the red eye reflex test and trying to see how we can get general practitioners to do that more often and in the correct way. And the thing that they had presented to us was a 3D model they had created of a baby's head with accurate eyes printed on their 3D printed machine, so that a general practitioner can actually train on doing it, because apparently they've never actually done that. Maybe they've seen one slide in a textbook at one point, never really done it. So they I enjoyed it immensely.
Sorry. Can you hear me? Yeah. Was there a contact if anybody wants to get involved further in the project?
We didn't quite name down a specific person. Are you talking about a patient contact or us? Yeah. Oh, sorry, yeah. Contact that is me. If anybody wants to get involved, then yes, please get in touch with me and I'll be happy to share, work on the model and how it's gone. What we would really like is a patient partner. We really like to see if there's anybody interested, and I'm intentionally looking directly at you because I don't want anyone to think I'm picking on them. But I want it to be a volunteer who comes up and tells us that they're interested in taking these models to different places and seeing it meet its best potential, or perhaps they themselves have an idea about the model. If they would like to try out on their own with our help, then we're happy to help build that relationship or help foster that moving forward.
Yeah, that'd be great. I know there was some comments from the Vancouver. They were quite interested. There were some people interested in our proms group. There was another person interested in the 3D printing. So if we can put the contact in chat, Francis, and okay. Our leads in each location know how to get in touch with Dr. Malapatna. So if we can connect those interested, we'll continue working on that.
I must just first ask if you put in my email address. Good, thank you. My email box is just, kids knows how to send me 100 emails a day.
What would be the right?
Joshua.
Or Joshua's. Okay, thank you so much. Then you're near the psychosocial team. If you could pass the microphone. Yep. So psychosocial care, understanding patient needs. If you could share with us summary of discussion, next steps, and how to get involved.
Okay, so day one, we talked about the outcome of some preliminary research, looking at psychosocial impacts, I guess, and Caitlin can correct me if I forget anything or say it incorrectly, but I think the first piece was that there was a scale looking at kind of distress for patients and parents of patients. That was the two, or it was family, yeah, parents of patients. And then kind of the reasons why, a questionnaire for the reasons why that might exist. And we sort of dissected using a really cool method called the Disney method, what the outcome of the distress metrics could mean. And sort of, we looked at them from a critical lens and a dreamer lens and all sorts of different lenses to kind of, I guess, stretch our minds to look at them with a different perspective. And then today we talked about how to kind of improve that research in the next round, basically. And so came up with a lot of questions under a number of different categories that would be useful to ask in a larger, more broadly distributed survey. In terms of next steps, I think that there are some planned focus groups to hone those questions potentially within particular categories, and then get in touch with Caitlin.
So
is that everything?
I imagine focus groups, we would then share the information through CRAB as well.
Yeah, when we recruit for the focus groups, we'll share that through CRAB. For now, we're just looking for helpers, and you can email me for more information, and it's in the chat. Yeah.
Okay, that's Caitlin Flegg. Caitlin.flegg@sidkids.ca. If you don't want to miss out on some of that information, join the RB research community. That way, when CRAB does share information about these opportunities, you'll definitely receive it. Thank you for that update. Next, we have understanding your genetics, co-creating educational tools.
So Mitch is going to give us.
Oh, fantastic.
Hi, this is Mitch, the facilitator in Vancouver. So the original purpose of the workshop was we were looking at genetic test reports, and we're thinking about what's good and what's not so good about them and ways that we could make them more understandable to patients. On the first day of the workshop, the conversation kind of went a little bit sideways, and we were talking more about the limitations of written reports and kind of what ways that those are not meeting the needs of patients. So on the second day, we really refocused, and I was, the keynote from Jay just continues to be relevant. We were really expanding our focus, thinking of what is possible beyond a written tool. And the scope of the project immediately expanded to a video, or maybe even a series of videos that could be posted publicly, a place like YouTube that would be easily searchable for patients to interact with at different times throughout their diagnostic and treatment journey. So where we're starting is we're hoping to put together a bit of a team of people with different diagnoses. So like a bilateral, a unilateral sporadic, and a unilateral heritable, to tell their stories in a video format. And down the road, we might be thinking about ways to expand the project, whether there's like a diagnosis time video, a bilateral heritable genetics video, a unilateral heritable genetics video, and some different things like that. So it's still, we really blew up our project in a big way, and so it's still kind of in the conceptualization phase, I guess. To get involved, Helen Damaris is the lead and would be the person to get in touch with.
Yeah, and then I'll be forwarding everybody to Mitch, who's becoming a genetic counselor in 4 days now.
Thank you so much for that update. So our fourth group was patient-reported outcome measures, communicating how you're doing. And I'm going to pass over to Genevieve, who will share.
Yeah. I was just asked to do this, so I don't have any notes. But we had a really great chat in my group as well, led by Farheen. And we were primarily individuals who have lived experience with RV, so mostly adult survivors who were contributing to our chat. We were using Farheen's project. She is establishing a PROM, which is a patient-reported outcome measure tool. And she's working on creating a questionnaire that can be provided in clinic, or I guess in a variety of environments, and it would provide a platform for additional conversations to occur. And we were really focused on the eye appearance section, and what we did as a group was to decide if the questions were relevant to our population, if we were going to keep, maybe, or drop the question. So we had a lot of discussion, and we didn't get through as many questions as we should have, because we all have very important perspectives to contribute. Some of the themes that came up were things like seeding thoughts in people's minds or children's minds to be concerned about their appearance when maybe they aren't, and we're seeding these questions. Some other things that we talked about was around concerns. Maybe a lot of people as they get older are not concerned about their appearance anymore. So what are your values and what is important to you? So we had actually some really rich discussion, and it was really nice to hear from others in terms of their experiences. But this project is Farheen's baby, and she's a PhD student in health lab. So it was really important for us to help her move this forward. So the next steps for her project is that she needs 200 participants to fill out the survey. So there isn't more information, and she gave us some cards with a QR if anyone has lived experience and they'd like to complete the survey, in order for her to pare it down and decide what is most valuable and important to our community. She needs these surveys to be completed first, and that's when the data analysis can be completed further and this tool can be rolled out. I think the most important piece for this one is it would help to facilitate discussions between clinicians, and maybe topics that we're not always comfortable to bring up. This questionnaire would help those questions to naturally come up, and a clinician could help someone to maybe navigate fixing that, or options to remedy it, or psychosocial outcomes, so we can help facilitate some more supports. So the involvement would be through Farheen. Her email address, I'm sure, has been provided or will be provided in the chat. And this project is very important, and I think will help to establish some more important discussions within our community.
Fantastic, thank you so much. I just wanted to add, there's a couple of other opportunities Farheen shared about co-authoring a commentary piece for anyone who had participated in a interview, as well as create a plain language summary of the results once they're ready. Am I missing anything, Farheen?
No, I think if anyone's ever participated in any qualitative interview and you'd like to comment on what that experience was like for you, I'm interested in writing a commentary, so you can get involved either by simply sharing your experiences, or if you want to be collaborative and write that together, you can definitely contact me as well.
So Farheen has shared that you could be involved in the commentary by sharing your experience with her, or even co-writing this commentary with her. So she's open to different levels of engagement on that. And you can reach her through your email, farheen.con@sickkids.ca. And I think that's already been shared in the chat. Okay, perfect. Thank you guys so much, and thank you all for participating in these workshops. To you guys. Okay, so what's left to wrap up this fantastic weekend is just some final remarks from our locations and us surveys to see how everything went. So if I could start off with pardon me. Yes, if we could start with Helen, if you wanted to give final remarks from Toronto, and then we'll go on to Halifax with Bruce and Catherine in Vancouver. And at that time, if some volunteers from our locations can help get the surveys out and ready, and then we can complete them after the closing remarks have finished.
Thanks, Ivana. Thanks to everyone for being here this weekend. Really, it's quite amazing to see what has been accomplished, not just this weekend, but looking back at all the years past. It's just incredible to see how far we've come and continue to grow. I'm particularly inspired in our the genetics workshop I was just in. It's really, I also am inspired by, I didn't have to do anything. You guys are doing everything. Thank you so much. I think I'm inspired to get back in the office tomorrow and keep working towards these amazing goals we've now set. We started in January with our AGM, setting the goals for how we're going to disseminate our research, and today was really exciting to see how we're going to conduct our research. So for me, I'm really thankful to all of you, to you, Ivana, to all our volunteers, and yeah, I guess the work will continue tomorrow. So that's, you know, it's not over just with this weekend. So thank you.
Thank you, Helen. Bruce, what are your thoughts at the end of this weekend?
So it's been a lovely weekend. It's been small but mighty down here, and then it was a little bigger but mightier. And we enjoyed just sort of generally hanging out and listening to what's going on. We had some very interesting discussions. There were some great viewpoints, certainly in the workshops, and lots of stuff that everybody just doesn't think about, but then somebody else does, and then you have all these sort of little light bulb pop moments and go, oh, that's a good thought, that's a good question, and so it really expands you. So I think it's been very, very thought-provoking and certainly very, very interesting to listen to those discussions and that dialogue. And it's great to see the engagement from right the way across the world as well. And I think Moj has some words to say as well.
Yes, yeah, if you don't mind, I just want to say it feels very surreal to kind of, I guess, reap the fruits of your labor, Ivana. Thank you so much for getting us organized over here, and just throughout the years with CRAB, and just meeting all the members of the community and meeting Kim and Josie here as well too. So I just feel very honored to be part of this, and also for a place that just like makes research really fun. I've said this several times over the weekend that I always thought research was just numbers and stats, and that's why it scared me. But it's honestly been a lovely weekend, and I'm very excited to keep this going, hopefully for next year as well too. And you will be dearly missed, Ivana.
Thank you, Moj. Thanks for all the nice comments. Bruce, you said you guys are small but mighty. You know, this is your first year, and in Vancouver as well. There's only one way to go, and that's to grow. So this is the first experience, and then all the attendees there share with your networks, and then the in-person will be even bigger and larger, and one day you're going to fill that whole auditorium. Catherine, can you share your thoughts, how it's been feeling in Vancouver over this weekend?
I think we had an excellent adventure, and we're really excited to continue and look forward to next year. I asked and nobody was sorry they were here. And we've got enthusiasm and energy and ideas coming forward, and I just really look forward to the momentum going forward and to the collaborations, because I think that's what will make those new ideas and better care all possible. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you guys. So we have some surveys. We have a day 2 general survey that our in-person folks have paper versions of. Our virtual people have a link to the general survey. The second survey that we are doing just at the end of the symposium is our peer survey, and Caitlin will go over the consent form. So the Toronto in-person people have the paper version. Everyone else will have the link. And if you cannot access and fill it out at this moment, we will include that in the post-event email as well. So don't forget any comments and thoughts, how you're feeling, and report them back when you do receive the link if you do not complete it at this moment.
I'm just going to go through this quickly, but if you have any questions about your consent at any time, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Our contact information is at the beginning of this consent form, but the study that you're consenting to be part of is called PEER, Patient Engagement Evaluation of Retinoblastoma Research, and we're inviting you to take part in this study because you have been involved with CRAB by being part of this weekend. And this purpose of this is for us to evaluate the patient engagement elements of CRAB. So this feedback is very important to us, so we can keep growing and improving. How many people? Will be 200 people participating in this approximately. You can participate if you were part of CRAB in any way. If you agree to participate, you're just going to be asked to do this quick survey for us. We don't expect any risks or harms in any way. Potentially, there might be a very small risk of unintentional release of information if sick kids' servers are hacked, but I don't foresee that happening in the future. There are no guaranteed benefits, but you will help us learn more, and you may help us improve our understanding specifically of patient engagement and research. You can choose to leave the study at any time. It's entirely voluntary. You just have to let us know, and if your research data, so rather if you do ask to leave, we will no longer use your research data at that time. Unfortunately, we're not in a position to reimburse you for this, but we do appreciate your participation, and your privacy will always be protected to the best of our ability. Any information we collect about you will not be shared in any way, except for if we happen to be audited by the Sick Kids Research Ethics Board. But aside from that, your personal information stays just with the study team. And any outcomes of this will be shared on our website, rbresearch.ca, but that will not include information that identifies you. And you have the right to receive any information about this study, and you can write to us any time to get that. And you don't give up any legal rights or any rights at all by signing this consent form. I think that's all. Don't hesitate to reach out about any questions you have, and our contact information you can scan at the very first page of this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Caitlin. Okay, so as everyone completes their surveys, this is our final farewell for the weekend. We have the group me still going, and we can keep that going for a little while. People get your contacts and make your new friendships going forward. Keep an eye out on our social media and join the RV research community. If you have any questions, you can always email retinoblastoma.research@sickkids.ca. And we're looking forward to meeting again next year in this type of symposium. Otherwise, we'll see you at our next event in June, which is our cup of tea for the topic of 3D printing and ophthalmology.
Fabulous. All right.
Bye, everyone. Bye.